wrap up Thanksgiving weekend with a full serving of high school playoff football featuring the Division VI state runner-up from the last 2 seasons and a dominant force breaking through to the Final Four as regional champs for the first time in 27 years. It's state number 8 Carey versus state number 7 Springfield for a spot in the D6 championship, and it's taking over your eyeballs. Next.
Go now. Here we go now.
%94 of my salary employees came from working out on the floor. They've went from loading a press to a staff member. Yeah, to be a team member here, you have to be a hard worker, extremely dependable, willing to work long hours, have good people skills. Here at the Carey plant, the sky's the limit.
Teijin Automotive Technologies, the formula for better mobility.
It's the most wonderful time of the year when you've got your lays that don't last many days, 'cause the whole family's here. Oh, wow. It's the most wonderful time of the year. It's the happiest season of all. The tree's at an angle, the lights are all tangled. Doritos, good call! It's the happiest season of all. There'll be smart food for munching, some ruffles for crunching, and snowball fights out in the snow.
Crying!
Run. Family portraits are cheesy with Cheetos, it's easy. White shirts were a bad idea though. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Grab the queso and salsa. Don't double dip, you monster! Pass the Tostitos here. It's the most wonderful time of the year. There'll be gifts for returning and recipes burning and snacks all laid out in a row. We'll smile through the season, hold tight to the reasons the holidays make our hearts glow. It's the most wonderful time, yes, the most wonderful time, oh, the most wonderful time of the year. Happy holidays! Happy holidays!
teams with matching 13-game win streaks enter the stadium tonight, just one win shy from a shot at a state title, as our Final Four coverage of the Carey Blue Devils and Springfield Tigers begins right here and now. Good evening, folks. Welcome to Euclid for the Danner's Towing and Recycling pregame. Alongside Travis Berardi, my name is Brian Skoronsky. In late November, football is officially here. Travis, you look out on the field, there's a lot of snow. It is cold, my friends. Plus, we've got two quality teams matching up here tonight, both sizzling hot, even though it's cold outside, a little bit frightful. Winners of 13 each as they enter tonight.
Yeah, both teams practicing on Thanksgiving. It's one of your dreams, playing high school football. Not only making it to a state Final Four, the state championship, but also, practicing on Thanksgiving. Carey, Springfield both losing week one, winning the rest. Carey falling in week one to Hopewell Loudon. Well, Hopewell Loudon, what they did, they're playing in the state semifinal in D7 tonight.
Pretty good.
Springfield, they lost to South Range. South Range, they were a D5 regional finalist, so they played last week before falling. So despite the losses, they lost to very good opponents, and after that, they learned what they did wrong, and they've run the table since.
This pack of Tigers starting to find themselves playing in late November on the regular now, Travis, as we'll dive into our Springfield team spotlight, and it's going to show you there is a lot of success that's been enjoyed by this senior class. 3 consecutive trips to the state.
Yeah, you saw the game last year, their state championship loss to Coldwater 38-35. Then in 2019, they lost 48-14 to Anna. This squad, didn't really make the playoffs maybe twice in the last 10 years. But after that, the last 2 years, they've really come on, and they're back here looking to make a third straight trip to Canton.
And for the Blue Devils, also making a habit of playing in big games, our Carey team spotlight going to show you 5 consecutive postseason trips. And progressively, this team just keeps taking the next step year after year, Travis, breaking through finally, getting to this round as regional champions for the first time in over 25 years.
Yeah, and they're riding their defense through this. They only giving up 167 yards per game and only 57 rush yards per game. That's going to be one of the best in the state.
No question about it. As far as Division 6 goes, this team, a defensive juggernaut, offensively too. They will handle you up front. That's why they were the Northern 10 champs for the first time in their program's history this season. And here, just one win away of breaking through and going to the state championship as the Carey Blue Devil Band out on the field, ushering in playoff football here in the snow. Awesome sight here at Euclid. Fantastic stadium, great facility. And we're just a few minutes away from kickoff here. And let's talk more about Carey offensively and the straw that mixes the Carey's hot cocoa makes it go. Travis, the quarterback, Derek Lonsway. He's shifty, he's tough, he doesn't throw it a ton, but he doesn't really need to because they're so physical up front. They got the bruiser in the backfield, the Winnebago Vallejo. So this guy, he's a senior, been starting a ton of games for them, and he just knows how to make everything click.
Yeah, we always talk about Jordan Vallejo, the RV that just runs through the offensive line, but it's Derek Lonsway that helps everything go. That he does the RPO so well. He'll keep it into the breadbasket of Vallejo until the last absolute second. If he wants to pull it out, run off to the right or left, he'll do that or pass it. But he just knows how to run this offense, and with somebody like Vallejo, it just complements him, and that's why both of them over 1,000 yards rushing this year.
And we saw him last week, a big-time performance in a win over Liberty Center. Got into the end zone a couple of times, and you mentioned what he brings in terms of just his handoffs in the backfield, holding it until the last possible moment before he takes off and runs to the corner. You see he's got the speed, had a huge performance in their second win against Crestview over the last postseasons too, to get into the regional championship.
And you might be seeing a lot more running tonight. Like we were talking about, snow's coming down, it's a bit windy, it's going to be slick out there, especially for the wide receivers, making those quick cuts. They might be slipping here, so it looks like this is going to benefit the Blue Devils in that rushing attack, because we know, as we're going to see here momentarily, the Tigers, they like to go both ways, through the air and on the ground.
On the opposite side of Lonsway, maybe the biggest star in small school Ohio football, period. Senior Bo Brungard, committed to Youngstown State. This guy has been amazing over his 3 years as a starter. I think arguably nobody better in the entire state. When you look at Divisions 5, 6, and 7, over 72% of his passes is what he has been completing this season. 22 times through the air, 30 times on the ground. He has tasted pay dirt.
Has to be one of the finalists for Mr. Football in the state of Ohio. And like you said, 1,759 yards through the air, 22 touchdowns, 1,607 yards on the ground on 133 carries, 30 touchdowns. And that complements Bo Snyder as well, who was one of their main running backs for 642 yards. But this squad, 277 rushing yards per game. He has most of them.
So those are your spotlights presented by Burson-Bakies Insurance. And look at the snow starting to come down here in Euclid. That's how you know it is late November and football matters here in the great state of Ohio. One of the best states in all of the country for high school football atmosphere, and sometimes the weather is what helps bring the juice and can be a great equalizer too, Travis. We were talking a little bit about the drive down, and both of these teams, even though the Tigers, they can run it pretty effectively too with the quarterback and the running back. We feel like with the physicality that Carey brings to the table, this might be something that they welcome in, having the snow drifting in at this rate that it is right now.
This offensive and defensive line of Carey is one of the biggest, most athletic lines that I have seen in my 5 years of being up here in North Central Ohio.
Sure.
They are big, they're athletic, they push you around, and if Carey, they can get 2-3 yards per carry. They don't have to get the big play. You know, they might have a couple big plays, but if they can just continue to slowly move down the field, slowly wear down that line of Springfield, it's going to play right into their hands, and then once you get to the fourth quarter, you know, you're going to tire them down, and you're going to be able to pounce right on them.
So, of course, we've got a big Final Four game going on right here in Euclid. Over on the other side of the state in Piqua, the other two teams that are battling it out for a spot in the Division VI championship game, West Jefferson ranked number 9 in the state, and the defending state title holders of Coldwater at number 6. Both those teams also having great seasons. Coldwater, I believe, has lost twice. West Jefferson, losers of just one game. So there's obviously plenty of good football teams still remaining in the Final Four, all 4 of them state-ranked.
West Jefferson, they have a quarterback kind of like Brungard. He can throw the ball, he can run the ball. And we saw in a game earlier against Northmore in these playoffs, they were able to do that at bay, and their defense pretty darn good too. I believe they were up 49-0 or 49-7 at the break against Northmore, a good squad that we know was really defensive-minded as well. And then when you talk about small school football in the state of Ohio, you talk about Coldwater. They've been here many times. They are used to this atmosphere, and, you know, they might be back in Canton next week. They got one more step ahead of them in West Jefferson.
So let's look at that matchup. Let's go a little bit deeper inside of ours tonight. As mentioned, all 4 of the teams in the Final Four state ranked. Springfield checks in at number 7, actually. Carey is number 8, and then the winner going to advance and take on one of those 2 teams. It's a fun, exciting time of year. Not any really Cinderella stories in Division VI. I mean, these are premier programs, big-time teams that expected to be in this type of situation, Travis, and they've proved it on the football field that they belong still playing in the state semifinals.
Yeah, and just another note about Springfield and their rushing attack, 277 rushing yards per game, 9.6 yards per carry.
That's a nice average.
That is a very nice. You almost get a first down every carry. 54 total touchdowns from the rushing attack from Springfield. But like I said, big defensive line of Carey. They have to stay helmet to helmet. They have to stay in their lanes. They cannot be thrown off by any misdirection from Springfield, because you know that quarterback, he's going to try and throw them off a little bit and get out to the outside. You stay in your lane. You contain him. Maybe allow 2-3 yards on a carry, 4 yards, but don't give up the big plays early.
It seems like you just kind of worded what's going to be coming out of my mouth here in just a moment here, Travis.
Kind of stole the keys from you, didn't I?
As we'll dive into the keys of the game for the Carey Blue Devils. And for me, I am going with box up Bo for all the reasons that you just outlined. That dude, he's just so lethal once he exits the pocket. I had the great privilege of watching him on display in the state championship game last year, where he basically willed his team into a position where they should have won. The probability for Coldwater to come back and win that game with the game-winning field goal was unlikely, because Bo Brungard is so incredible. So the Blue Devils, boy, they really got a key on him. And I know they got other guys they can swing it to on the perimeter. It's definitely not a one-person show. You don't get to 3 straight Final Fours, but that is the biggest star on the field. You can't let him shine too bright.
And my key to this one, strength up front. Like I said a little bit earlier, that the big offensive defensive line of Carey, can they wear down Springfield to the point where in the late third quarter and fourth quarter they can start pushing them around, they can start doing the things that they need to do to get victory here tonight. You wear them down, you stay close with them here in the first couple of quarters, then you're going to be able to pounce on them at the end.
And We outlined Kemmerly as well as Vallejo, two guys having outstanding seasons on opposite sides of the football. And Kemmerly, such a great dynamic athlete at the linebacker position, but Jordan Vallejo doesn't have to play defense. He saves all of his energy and aggression for the offensive side, and they nickname him the Winnebago because he's almost the size of one. 270, Trav, and those Tigers going to have a handful tonight trying to bring him down.
One of the biggest running backs that I have ever seen in high school football, and you think, okay, he's one of those guys just runs downhill, gets a few yards, but no, he's elusive as well. You have to have 3, 4, 5 players on him to tackle him, but then sometimes he'll just spin out of it and get 4 or 5 more yards after that. He is a rare type of running back that we really don't see here in Ohio.
So the Tigers out on the field. Let's see their keys to the game tonight. And I've got attack as a pack because of that gentleman that you just talked about that's basically NFL lineman size running the football at the high school level. You got to swarm to that guy. You got to get a couple of them down low, hit him up tall if you can. So you need to get some hits as a unit on Jordan Vallejo and company. Bring him down, swarming to the football as a pack.
And my key is pick up the tempo. We're going to see Carey probably try and slow things down. Like I said, get 3, 4 yards per carry. Just slowly move down the field, get into the end zone, kind of like the Lucas Cubs who we cover back in the Mansfield area. They can slowly get down there. The way to counteract that, pick up the tempo. Go full speed. Get into the end zone quick. You might get a stop. You can quickly score again. Then you have your tempo. You can take control that way. So you got a slow pace on one side, you got a fast pace on the other. Which one is going to take place here in the first couple quarters to see how we set this up?
Tigers anxiously awaiting their march out onto the field. State Final Four, third consecutive season for Springfield, have not yet tasted a state championship. They feel like perhaps this could be the year that they get it done with their senior quarterback, Bo Brungard. And they do have some nice pieces around him too, Travis. As we mentioned, you don't just get to this game with having a one-man wrecking crew. They got some guys up front that can block too, and you like some of the perimeter players.
Yeah, definitely. You have, like I said, you have Bo Snyder, a running back that has over 600 yards receiving, but then you have 4 wide receivers that have over 200 yards catching, 6, 5, 4, and 3 touchdowns. So he can also spread it out. They might go 5 wide. They might just get close up and go I formation. They can do a lot, and if they spread you out, he doesn't have to run sometimes. He can throw it to an open man. He has the full pack of players at his disposal.
In Springfield, too, we read in a coach's interview earlier in the week, he feels like perhaps Carey has not seen a team that can do what they do. They can line it up. They can run straight at you from the I formation. They can also go 5 wide, spread you out, and the quarterback always a threat to get out of the pocket. Plus, you mentioned all those weapons that they have with over 200 yards receiving. So they'll spread it around, Travis, and it looks like they're getting their final little pep talk on, and they're going to burst through. Always one of the best feelings as a high school team, carrying the big sledgehammer, and the Tigers looking to sledge their way into the state championship with a win here tonight. All right, for those of you watching live on Facebook and YouTube, make sure that you check back with us around 9:30 for a full broadcast as we cut away now per OHSA rules and regulations.